sorry.
Sorry. the
A, B, C, or D.
the lateral.
She eliminated shoulder lateral rotation and abduction. Good, because that wasn't the right answer. But to me, the rotation part would take you a little more thought. But pretty clearly, this cannot be a shoulder abductor. Let's talk about that part. Where would a muscle have to come from to grab the humerus and create abduction? It would have to grab it from the top. Muscles pull. So for a muscle to be able to pull your humerus up into abduction, it would have had to come across the top, not from the bottom. If it's coming from underneath, then it can't be an abductor. So then that leaves us with, let's talk it through. It's a shoulder medial rotator and adductor. It should be a little more obvious why it's an adductor, but why is it a medial rotator? How could you look at that picture and see that it's a medial rotator?
Because it's attached to the medial
The axis,
side of the
when it
tooth.
pulls, would pull it this way. If you kind of draw a line through it.
So sometimes we can say things like if it crosses the top, it's an abductor. If it crosses the front, it's a flexor. Like those little rules help, and I go through that in one of my PowerPoints. With rotation, you can't use a rule like that. You can't say if it comes from the back or it comes from the front, or because rotation's about angles of pull. So this muscle comes from behind, but it grabs lesser. You can't see it, but it's coming from under your armpit to grab the front of the humerus. So when it pulls, it's gonna roll that humerus internally or roll that humerus medially. So what muscle, well, it's probably the next drop down. Don't answer that yet. So it's that. I'll save that for last. What muscle is that?
Teres major.
That's the teres major. Let's talk about how we could have eliminated these other ones. Where is your coracobrachialis? Coracobrachial region. Coracobrachialis from coracoid to your humerus somewhere is all you need to know, because that's clearly not coming from the coracoid. How do you know it's not the subscapularis? Because that's tempting. Yeah, subscapularis lives on this subscapular fossa of the scapula, so that's not happening. And then teres minor's tricky.
I know,
like
the major and minor.
That's okay. Like if you sat here and had to pause over, is this teres major or teres minor? I would understand that. Like that's reasonable. The giveaway is, which one is which?
Internal is major.
Teres major, you remember from me saying, is the big mama giving the spanking. It's an internal rotator. Teres minor is the little kid saying, get away, get away, get away. It's the external rotator. So how teres minor looks when it attaches to your humerus is it comes around the back of the humerus because it rolls it posteriorly. Whereas teres major tucks up under your armpit and rolls it medially. So that's your best clue to how to, and major's bigger than minor, but that doesn't really help you in this picture because you don't get anything to compare it to.
Pictures do not suggest.
Okay, and this, I wish I could help you more, is just something you're gonna have to memorize. And with the scapular muscles, that's not as, there's not really a good shortcut for that. Once you got into the arm, MMR helps you a lot. And the rules like medial epicondyle, median nerve, like there's little rules that help you in the arm. But up around the scapula, you're just gonna need to flashcard which muscles go with which nerves. So look at that for a minute. Which one is this?
Subscapular.
It is, but you might need to just spend a minute on that. Like, that might just be one of your little side notes of things that I'm just gonna need to study for a few minutes, is the nerves. Good news, there's only 5 scapular muscles, so I just need to memorize the innervation for those 5 scapular muscles. Once you get into the rest of the arm, it gets easier. Not, the rotator cuff muscles are a little tricky, but just keep looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, that when you get into MMR land, there's less of that memorization you have to do.